What will God do with your ashes at the final judgment? Maybe they were scattered with tears, or they rest in an urn few people visit. Does it matter to God? In a few minutes, you'll see how He calls you by name, and nothing is lost in His sight. Leave your comment now. I trust in God, and stay until the end. Imagine an open hand over a cliff. The wind lifts the ashes and turns them into a thread of light, drifting away, as if the sky were breathing. That day, a family whispered words no one will remember, and yet a truth was engraved. Not a single particle escapes the voice of God. No one knew where the smallest fragments fell, but the world held them in secret. The sea, the land, and the clouds kept something. And still, when He calls, everything answers. You'll see it in a few minutes with a clarity that cuts through the air, what God will do with what the wind dispersed. There comes a day when the silence is so deep, it feels like the universe is holding its breath. On that day, books are opened, and there is no corner to hide who we are. On that day, the distance between a king and a stranger disappears. No titles, no excuses, only a name spoken by the one who knew it before the first breath. Maybe someone told you that ashes are the end, that a sealed urn is a door that never opens again. Maybe they spoke of the sea as an invincible guardian. Maybe you thought the wind hides what no one can recover. Listen, the wind does not own what God formed. The sea does not rule what God calls. The earth does not dictate the destiny of what God knows by name. In a few minutes, I'll give you the line that changes how you see death and eternity. Stay with me. Write in the comments, I trust in God. Do it now, because when you write what you believe, that faith awakens inside. Picture a quiet house. On the mantle, a modest urn. Outside, the city doesn't stop, but here time seems to walk barefoot. In that urn there is dust, and in that dust there are stories. Laughter that stayed in photographs, promises whispered softly, small daily miracles no one recorded. God doesn't look at a container. God looks at a name. He doesn't recognize ashes. He recognizes identity. Where we see remains, He sees destiny. Where we find limits, He sees the beginning of something greater. On the great day of judgment, the scene is not a threat, it's an appointment. Books are opened so that truth has the last word. There is a throne, not to crush you, but to affirm who you were when no one was watching. There are multitudes, and even so, when He speaks a name, there is no noise, only silence and certainty. Here's a preview now. Sea and land do not argue with God. Dust does not resist the one who formed it. When He calls, what was scattered finds its path, as if the ocean currents remembered forgotten routes, as if the wind obeyed a secret coordinate, as if the earth opened its hand. Nothing is lost in His sight. There was a woman. Let's call her Helen. She didn't know how to say goodbye. She walked to a pier at dawn and spoke to the air. She released a handful of ashes and didn't know if it had been a farewell or a silent cry. For months she dreamed of loose pieces, a clock that didn't tell the time, a laugh that never finished being heard. One day a line pierced her chest. Not everything the wind carries is lost. She understood that God doesn't need to gather dust to call a life. He needs to speak a name. The voice that created what did not exist does not stop before what seems impossible to us. On the great day, there is no distance between atoms that God does not know. There is no mix of salts in the ocean He does not recognize. There is no corner of earth He has not touched with His word. What you call ashes, He calls history. What you call an end, He calls a beginning. And when you see it, you will understand. Keep this in your heart. No one hides when the books are opened. Not because there is fear, but because truth draws us in. Truth shines in such a way that no shadows remain to hide in, and no shadows remain to fear. Light does not mock. Light reveals and heals. That is why that day is not about punishment as we imagine it. It is about a justice so perfect that even the sea understands it and the earth applauds it. In a few minutes, I will give the answer in a single line. First, imprint these images in your mind. A desert where the sand seems to sing. A valley where the wind stops. An ocean suddenly still like a mirror. In the middle of everything, a voice that does not shout yet fills all. A voice that does not push yet draws all things. That voice does not need to convince the dust. The dust recognizes it. Maybe you're thinking about someone specific, a father, a sister, a friend. In these moments, we are not talking about ideas. We're talking about names. Names are alive even when we cannot touch them. A name is more than letters. It is a story spoken perfectly. When he calls by name. He does not call by location. He does not call by method of burial. He does not call by the condition of the body. He calls by identity. The identity God knows is stronger than the wind, deeper than the sea, older than the earth. Here's a preview. What will determine eternal destiny is not whether the body was kept in marble or returned to the soil in an open field, whether it was embraced by the sea or carried by the wind. It is not the method that defines the end. It is the heart that answers the light. It is the life you chose to live under God's gaze. What matters is not whether the wind touched you, but whether the light changed you. Imagine a vast hall with no roof, because heaven is its roof. In the center, a throne, not a throne of whim, but of purpose. Before that throne, times line up. On one side, childhoods that seemed forgotten. On the other, decisions that still hurt. Books are opened and they are not old papers. They are clean memories. The day you helped without telling anyone. The day you lied and it hurt. The day you embraced someone who had failed you. The day you promised and kept your word. Nothing missing, nothing extra. Every line shines because there is a gaze that sees with love and with truth. Then a pause. No turmoil, no crossed voices. Only one voice that cuts through history and speaks a name. Your name. The dust does not ask if it should rise, it simply rises. The sea does not negotiate whether it should release, it simply releases. The wind does not decide if it's a good idea, it simply yields. When God calls, creation remembers who made it. Understand this. Cremation only speeds up what time does to everyone. Dust returns to the earth. That does not contradict the power of the voice that brought life out of what was not. If he who spoke and all things were decides to call, there is no ash too fine, no distance too great, no mixture too complex. If he asks for you, he is not asking for a handful of matter. He is asking for a person. That person is you. In a few minutes you will hear a line I want you to carry with you. First, breathe. You are not watching this video by accident. There are alignments we cannot explain. What you share today will reach someone tomorrow, right when they were about to drop their hope. Share this message with the name of that person you still pray for. Stay here. You haven't yet heard what I brought for you. Imagine the moment when heaven and earth cease to be as we know them. It is not senseless destruction. It is the beginning of perfect order. It is the scene where what seemed buried by time rises and stands present. There, your story will look like a beach seen from above. Footprints are recognized that at ground level looked like chaos. You will see the line. You will see how even what was broken was part of a design you did not understand, but that now shines with clarity. When your name's turn comes, there will be no resistance in creation. No buts in the dust. No obstacles in the sea. No confusion in the wind. Nothing will argue. Because nothing argues with the one who made it. There will only be response. There will only be order. There will only be return. Here is the promised step. If you feel this message came looking for you, do two things. First, say softly, I trust in God. It is personal, intimate, and direct. Then write it in the comments with those same words. I trust in God. That act moves others. It is a light in a dark corridor. Don't leave yet. I want to give you words that can be yours when you don't know what to say. Say it like this. God, I surrender what I don't understand to your wisdom. I surrender what the wind dispersed, what the sea kept, what the earth hid. I don't know how to gather it, but you do. Speak my name. Call my house. Bring back what seems lost. Give me your light to live today facing forward, without hiding. For you who went to a cliff or stayed beside an urn or left a flower where no one else goes, hear this image and let it stay with you. The day the books are opened, there are hands that do not tremble. There is a voice that does not stumble. There is a name of yours that is never confused. There is an answer that does not need to be repeated. It is enough for God to speak it for everything to find its place. Look back and recognize what you heard. Ashes are not an end. They are a pause in a story bigger than the wind. A story that does not end at the edge of the sea, nor at the rim of an urn. A story that began with a word and is affirmed with a word. That word is your name spoken by God. Helen returned to the pier. She didn't bring flowers. She brought silence. In the silence, a certainty. Not the certainty of understanding the mechanism, but the certainty of knowing the voice. She walked, looked at the water, touched the railing, and said quietly, "If you call, I answer." She left with the peace of one who knows the world does not keep forever what God calls home. Now you. If you're here, it's because there is an appointment. I told you at the beginning, and I repeat it at the end. In a few minutes, everything was seen clearly. You see it now. What the wind scatters, the voice gathers. What the sea keeps, the voice returns. What the earth hides, the voice raises. What he would do with your ashes on the final day is what he does with your life today. He speaks your name and calls you into the light. If this message spoke to you, share this video with 2 people who need it. Today, you can be the answer they were waiting for. Subscribe and turn on the bell to start your day with God every morning.